Hi, welcome to the Ron and Son podcast. My name is Clinton.
And I'm Ron.
Welcome back. This is episode 4. We are excited to have you, and we are filming on location in Montesano, Washington. We have moved our ship into an actual studio. I remember we were talking about doing something like that with better lighting. I don't feel like the lighting is quite better yet, but we'll get there. Anyways, we have a lot of awesome stuff to talk about today, and I'm talking with my hands. We talk with our hands a lot around here, so I hope that's all right. So this first little segment, before we get into a really cool business idea, which you can make about $2,200 per job. And if you're really good at it, you could probably do 2 in one day. So you could be making a lot of money. So you want to stick around so you can watch this. Hit the subscribe button down below. That's what keeps it going. And we don't make anything from this, but someday it would be nice to. You just never know. So we can get really cool headphones and different cool shirts that have sparkles and glitter. He likes gold.
I like gold. I like glitter too, though.
So I noticed you're wearing a chin diaper today.
Yeah, I just came in from being out in the community, but you don't know who I am. I got it on my chin, and it could be on my nose, but we're going to leave it just at that.
Awesome. I feel you're kind of being a little bit conservative today. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I've always been conservative. I'm a conservative liberal.
Hey, see what happens when you get the Mullins out of Westport and put them in Montesano. So we're going to start out with a couple stories, and I'm actually really excited about this because my dad is going to be telling you a story that has to do with a religious experience. And I'm going to be telling a story that has to do with something similar. Definitely on total different sides of the spectrum. But these are really interesting stories. So I'll let Dad take it away for you. So this was when you were working for Adult Protective Services, right?
Yeah, I'd worked for the state of Washington Department of Social and Health Services, and I was a social worker. And we investigated, it was abuse, neglect, fraud, those kinds of things to anyone that was 18 to 100. And I had a client for several years, and very religious lady, and she was a Native American elder and lady, and she belonged to one of the Shaker churches. Well, after about 4 years of knowing her and stuff, even the tribe would send out the police to go pick her up and bring her into the casino just to be a greeter. She was just so loving, and her aura was that way. Well, she got sick, and I went to the hospital where she was at to see her. And they also knew at one time, for a short time, I was on the Chinook Tribal Council. They knew my Chinook ancestry, and we have property on the Quinault Reservation. But just in my state way, as I started to leave, I says, well, I'll pray for you. The family walked up to me and says, you'll pray now. And I'm going, wow. Working for the state, we're not able to do prayers for people. We're supposed to keep religion out of it. But you know what? I knew this person, so I went over and I was going to pray. And I don't do a lot of prayers open, but I was going to pray. And she was in a fetal position. And then once I got close enough to her, her arm came to my arm and she grasped me. When she grasped me, it was just like electricity going through my body, light, just so fast. And the sharing of thoughts and energy, my whole body's cold chills. And she gave me something that I never had before. She gave me a vision of what was so important about this place and about the connectedness to Mother Earth and also to the, everything, all beings, humans, the whole thing is one. But it was all love. And it was just never had anything like that before. And that was here about 9 years ago is when it happened. And then I came back to the state and I told my supervisor and I wrote about it. And I remember getting a verbal warning, a reference to, talking about religion, prayer, and those kinds of things. But, I thought it was better I told the truth, and that's exactly what happened, and I just documented it. and stuff. But I never did it again after that. No one ever had asked. But that was my first and only time.
Wow. So whenever you came over to pray for her, she grabbed your arm and was able to share information just through the touching experience.
When she touched me, it was just like think of a current, an endless current of light or energy going through your veins, going from your head to your toes. Just like right now when I'm talking, it's going down my arms and in my legs and my feet, and then it comes back and repeats that. And that's what happened when she grabbed me. And then I did pray, but it made me probably feel better than even her, even though she was passing. But she's being reborn. She's getting ready to go. And that's one thing about Adult Protective Services. I did deal with a lot of the dying. So I've had experience with people when they're getting ready to pass, some of the things that they would talk to me about and those kinds of things as part of my job.
So what did you experience about Mother Nature? That really, to me, is really interesting. For personal reasons, I have a song about it, and my new band, Adabom, we've been really wanting to put together a music video for that song, and I would just like to know more about that visual experience.
About the Mother Nature, it's that we're destroying the earth. We're destroying everything about the earth, not just the earth itself, but the creatures and everything. It's the rocks, the ocean, the water, the people, the sun, the skies, the creatures that we don't even know about that even traveled our skies.
So are you saying that you saw all these things, and did you see a sadness, or how did you know that they were being destroyed, or how did Mother Nature express that?
In that, I guess it was all in that energy of just giving me the light, some of the things that I had done and the things that I could have done. But it also lets you know that the things that you need to do.
Okay,
so you're able
that.
to, yeah. And with that light gave me that energy and that extra to understand. When we lived on Minkler Street or Minkler Road, when we had our farm, and that was back in the 1990s at some time. Do you remember when the jelly came on the farm? And they had the stories about Oakville at that time. They had jelly that was falling from the sky.
I actually don't remember that, no.
Yeah, that was back in the 90s. You can Google that.
What happened?
Yeah, there was like a jelly substance that came from the skies. And actually, there's some people that say, and I don't go either way, but I'm probably leaning more for there's actually different other types of beings within our atmosphere that are actually living there, and they could actually secrete other types of things. So it's more than what we see, because people are living in other realms of light and different velocities of pressure, given where they're at their time and that. So you got all these other multiple things that are living there, and they could affect us. And I don't know if that's where the jelly came from, but I think that that's my greatest possibility.
Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
No.
So in the movie The Matrix, they're all in these like little cocoons, and when they get woke up from the cocoon, there's like this jelly, and that's kind of the visual I got. That's really interesting, though, about the jelly. I think that we should definitely look into that. Yeah. If anyone out there watching right now has any information or any ideas about the jelly, throw it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. So I'm going to move on to a story that I haven't told a lot of people, and it's a little weird. So I had just, it was August 17th, 2017. I just signed a lease at Jody's Bar and Grill in Yelm, Washington. And I was opening up Doggers. And at the time, it was really nasty. There was like, you could put your finger on the wall and just, there'd be grease on your finger. It was disgusting. And you walk through the carpet, Dad remembers, and it would just be like spongy. And it was pretty gross. So my drummer, Chris, and I went down to Walmart with what little money we had left, and we bought 2 cots because we only had the money to basically go rent a place to live or open a business. So here I just spent all my rent money on this business. So I remember this night, actually, in particular, getting ready to lay down on my cot and seeing maybe 10 rats.
Jumping on the...
They weren't jumping on me, but they were like, there was rats in the building. It was disgusting. So that's kind of living situation I was in.
That's what a rat looks like.
You look like a rat? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Sorry.
So, Dad looks like a rat. He does a great rat impression. If anyone needs a rat for like somebody's birthday party, we'll be hiring Ron the Rat.
Right.
We call it double R.
Yeah.
Ron the Rat.
The rodent.
The rodent.
Yeah.
Ron the Rat. So before we go down this rabbit hole, aka a rodent, I'm gonna go back into the story. So I didn't know anything about this, but Yelm is known for a place called the School of Enlightenment. And if you look it up on Google, it'll show you all kinds of stuff. Tom Cruise used to be there, all kinds of famous people. There was one I almost said, but I can't say her name right, so I'm not going to mispronounce that on our podcast. But getting into it, the reason I went to Yelm, because I'd never really been there before, was I was performing at a UFO festival, which was the first ever one. I was actually the only paid performer to play there, and I just put out an album called Alien Abduction. Well, it was pretty much organized by the School of Enlightenment, some students, I guess you would say, and that day I had found the old Jody's, and within a couple days, here I am sleeping on a cot with the rats. And RR over here wrote it Ron. That could be triple R. We'll call him triple R. Wrote it Ron Rat. So I go to bed, and I remember I drink a lot of energy drinks. That's my guilty pleasure. I know I need to give it up, but I had been drinking them that day too, and I hadn't had any alcohol. I was sober, so there was no drugs involved. I woke up in the middle of the night on my cot, and Chris was sleeping behind the bar on the other side of the restaurant, so probably about 20 feet away from me. And I was sleeping in like where the soundboard would be now. And I felt this overwhelming presence around me. And it was like there was I could see it without seeing it, if that makes sense. It was like there was a group of about 30 people around me. And I felt the most fear in my life. Like if you've ever seen the movie Fire in the Sky, when he gets abducted by the aliens, the fear that he felt in that situation and the fear I felt when I first watched that as a child, it was that kind of fear. And some would say this is sleep paralysis, which I personally don't think that's what I experienced. I was paralyzed. I could not move. All I could do was move my eyes, like, back and forth. And all of a sudden I felt like something taking something out of me, not physically, but like my energy. So I felt all my energy be drained from me, like a vampire was sucking my blood, but they were taking my energy away. And then I fell back asleep. Like I just was so tired, I couldn't stay awake, and I passed out. So fast forward to that morning, I wake up and I'm honestly a little embarrassed about what happened. I didn't want to say anything to Chris. I was just like, I felt like I had been out drinking the night before and hadn't slept in a week, which I wouldn't know what that's like, but I'm imagining that you don't have any energy. I just had no energy. I could barely get out of the cot. I would say out of bed, but I was out of cot. So I had a hard time even getting out of cot. And Triple R over here would have had a hard time as well. Yeah. Just like getting you out of the chair earlier.
I couldn't get out of the chair.
Yeah, we had to one arm him up.
Chair lock.
Yeah, we had to get the trailer with the hoist on it.
Yeah, Hoyer.
Hoyer transfer for Triple R.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I went at the time I was working as a DJ at the Y Sports Bar. I went to the Y Sports Bar that night. And I remember feeling like I can finally talk about the experience. So I text Chris and I go, I think that I had an experience with that school, because we had like heard a little bit about it in like just a little bit of time we've been there. Some people mentioned it. And I really felt like the word Ramtha was in that word kept coming over and over. And at that time, I don't think I've even heard that word. I just knew that there was the School of Enlightenment and it had like a fence around it and it was like a weird looking place. And I just kept getting this word Ramtha in my head. And so then that night I come back and we caught it up because of all the R's out there, triple R, he loves his rats, rodents. And when you're sleeping on a cot too, I'm sure they jumped over us and we just didn't know, but you're above the ground. So it makes you feel like the rats aren't crawling all over you. But yeah, if you ever go there again, there's rats. It's just part of Yelm. There's a lot of rats in Yelm, and especially that little mall. And I'm going on this rat. I'm like way left field with the rats. You got me on this like whole rodent thing. Like too many rodents. I need to get out of the rodents.
I hate rats as a pet.
I
wouldn't want a rat as a pet. In fact, the biggest rat I had was a friend named Charlie, and he ratted on me.
Well,
so I
don't know if you exactly hate them, because there was a time where you guys were feeding rats out of your backyard, and then you ended up having a rat problem at your house.
Right, we were feeding. Yeah, I ended up killing them, like, I don't know, quite a few. When it flooded out on me, Linda had one swimming by, and she took the broom out and brought it in and let it go in the house.
There's no way I would have let that thing in the house.
I was just
like,
kidding by the old river coming by, and she just and got it.
Well, that makes sense. She loves you and you're the triple R, so she loves the rats.
Couldn't let the rat go,
Ron the rat, the rodent.
But don't be a rat and rat somebody out. No one wants that.
So yeah, that's a lesson on that. But back to the story, because we keep getting back into this rodent talk. Just a lot of rodent talk. Please leave a comment with a rat picture right around there so people can see the rats. You got white rats. You got all different types of colored rats. Rats with the red eyes. Anyways.
Snakes like rats. I had a snake and it ate my rabbit.
That was a big boa constrictor. I remember that thing.
I wish you would have got a rat instead.
Didn't it eat a rabbit at one point?
Yeah, I got rid of the snake after that.
That's pretty sad, but one of my childhood memories is a boa constrictor the size of a freaking VW bus. The thing was huge, eating a freaking
screaming rat.
It was eating a rabbit in their tub, and it took the biggest doompa in their tub, and there was just like
a rabbit
rodent feces.
It was bad.
And then I had to take a bath in this.
It was the only tub we had in the house.
Why do I have to take a bath in that, So anyways, not back to the rodent bath. We're going to go back to the triple R over here. So I went to bed after having this experience and finally opening up about it to my buddy Chris and bandmate. And the next morning, when I get up to, I think we had a wedding that we were DJing. We were doing a lot of stuff so we could pay the bills. Because we went in on this restaurant with $2,500, and then I was broke, and I have rent for $2,500. You keep thinking about rats. I know it.
He didn't have rat ass. Fuck.
What did you say?
Yeah, all he had was rat ass. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I was thinking of my dad. He got into the trailer and he found a bunch of mice, and then he got rid of them. He cooked them. They were all baby mice. That was sad. I was just 4.
Okay, so the next morning, you're crying, man.
It was it's hard to deal with too.
Triple R's over here crying, guys.
Their eyes weren't even out.
we need a rat poison sponsorship. So anyways, Triple R over here has got rodents, and he's got a rodent problem. If anyone's really good at that, he needs help, not just that kind of help. So the next morning I get outside, and there's a box set CD sitting out front of my restaurant door. I had 2 doors, but on the door, and I'm like, interesting. So I pick up the CD and it says Teachings of Ramtha. And I'm like, ooh, this is that word that's been in my head, Ramtha. What's this all about? So I got in my car. I threw the CD in, and the first track is this story of this lady who, I can't remember her name right now, right off the top of my head, but her last name's Rose, I believe, or something like that. Or Jay-Z Knight. Yeah. I think it's Jay-Z Knight. I don't know where Rose came from. But so she starts talking, and when she does these teachings, she gets possessed by this thing called Ramtha, which Ramtha is like a, I don't really know what Ramtha is, but it's some kind of like situation where she gets possessed and this Ramtha speaks through her. So Ramtha starts talking about thousands of years ago, there was a performer, and this performer had to be sacrificed. And here I am, a performer. I'm new to town and I'm opening a music venue, and somebody left a CD at my front door about a performer being murdered because they were basically performing. And so I took it as like, this is kind of creepy, I'm in a small town I've never been to, and now I'm sleeping with the rats, and somebody might want to kill me. And so that was trippy. Fast forward it to later that day. There was an individual, I'm not going to bring up his name, but he would come around. He was like in his 70s, and he played in a famous band back in the day, and really cool dude. Let me play all kinds of really expensive guitars. And he came in and he introduced himself, and he was like the guy that watched over the whole place. And he brought, I was like, I know I'm not supposed to stay here, but I was working, here I'm living there. I was here late last night working, and I slept on a cot overnight and just didn't want to have to drive home. I was tired, whatever story I gave him. And I told him about the whole experience. And he goes, "Oh, don't worry. They were just remote viewing. And that's totally normal, and that's just something that happens, and I wouldn't be scared or anything. I've been an elder for 35 years at the School of Enlightenment, and I'll make sure that doesn't happen again." And I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, this is crazy. So it turns out I invited this presence to come into my restaurant, to my music venue, and take my energy. And how I invited them was I had like an open night. It was like the first week I had the restaurant, and earlier that night I had like a concert where it was a few solo performers, and we were talking to the community, that people that came in, about what our plans were. It was a free show, and it was open to the public. Well, I never shut the windows that night because it was in August and it was hot. So technically, I had an open house, and I opened myself not only to the public, but spiritually, in the sense of I didn't close the doors to something coming in, and I invited it in a sense. That's my take on the whole situation. So it was really interesting to have the elder come in and give me that backstory of basically that I actually experienced something, and it was okay not to be scared. Later on, he actually had tried to talk me into going to the school. He would talk about how they have this big stage, they have all these speakers, and he really wanted me to come. He knew I loved music, so he'd bring in like $20,000 Gibson Les Pauls, and he played in a famous band, so he knew that I'd been scratching to try to make it as a musician, so he used whatever he could to try to get me in those doors. And after that experience, I was scared. I mean, before then, I might have actually went over there and been like, "Hey, what's this all about?" But after I had all my energy taken from me without my permission to give my energy to somebody, so, is that maybe an elder in the school that needed my energy to survive? Is that the person that Ramtha needing the energy to turn into Ramtha? I don't know. Right. But I experienced something, and it stays with me, and it haunts me for the rest of my life. It doesn't go in my dreams like the guy that was hitchhiking that you picked up, that actually Dad was talked about last time. He's had him in his dreams in the last 6 months, which is crazy. I haven't had that experience. So to add to this story, before I close out on this story and we get to talking about your business opportunity, which you're not going to want to miss, we had one neighbor, and prior to putting in the big stage at Doggers, that neighbor was from, I'm not going to say a lot about her, but she was German, from Germany. She moved there to be a part of the School of Enlightenment. And there's light rooms where they do like light healing. And it's like kind of like a spa, but with lights and just different spiritual things for the School of Enlightenment. And that was next to my restaurant. Well, eventually I got that unit once she moved and I rented it. I put a stage in. So one of my ideas was maybe the energy and everything I felt was her. But the experience I had with the neighbor, she had moved out. I had got the keys. I had paid for it. And now it was time to take the drywall out and build the stage. Well, my business partner and I at the time, he wasn't really superstitious. We went in there to check it out. It was after we closed, so it was probably like midnight, 1 a.m, maybe even later. And we walked through all the rooms, and there's this middle room, which is where the stage is now. And we walk in there, and I seen about 1.5 feet tall, looked kind of like a gremlin, but really skinny gremlin, like off Gremlins. I felt like it was like a demonic, dark energy that was pitch black. And it kind of was just like this, like right at me. And I ran out of the building. And when I ran out of the building, my business partner at the time looks over at me and he goes, "Bad juju." Yeah. And he felt what I saw. And it was just a really weird experience. Actually, in that same building, there was a time where I had a cook working for me in the early days of being open, and his name was Random. He actually is a musician in the Tacoma area. He could tell you firsthand if you know him. And he was at like the window where you would hand the plates over from the kitchen, and here I am out by the pool room, and he said that this figure, all black, walked by me and had a hood on, and I just got chills. It freaks me out every time. So it had a hood on, and then when it got to where I was at, it looked over at him and then walked into the darkness, and it was just like a shadow figure. And there was also people said that there was a kid that was ran over close by, and you would hear the bell. I've heard the bell before, like a bike bell. People had seen a little girl in the bathroom on the pool room side. And people that had worked there previously would say that the old office was haunted. Well, I had actually been sleeping in the office for a long time, and I got really sick. And I got so sick that I probably should have went to the hospital, but I ended up closing the bar for like 3 days and said it was something for like remodeling or whatever, when I couldn't move. And it wasn't like a flu sick. It wasn't like a cold sick. It was like, again, where all my energy had been taken out and I couldn't move. And I felt like whatever was going on in that building really pulled it out of me. And I heard a lot of different stories from a lot of different people in the community. And I mean, one of the things somebody had told me over and over is that they believed that there is a path where spirits go from place to place, and that this building was in the middle of that path. Well, wow. That's an interesting thing that it could have been. I just remembered one last thing I'm going to tell about owning Doggers and it being haunted, because it was haunted. So I've had dreams in the past where I've dreamt things that had actually happened in the past, and which I'll talk about one later that's pretty crazy. But this situation is I had a dream about a Native American and a settler on the land where the restaurant is, but before it was there. And it was real. Whatever I dreamt, it felt like I was there, and it really happened, and it was really scary. And I always had nightmares, and I dreamt all kinds of craziness whenever I was in that building and I was sleeping. And I never lost the nightmares until I moved to where I wasn't sleeping there. But I just wanted to share that because I feel like that was an experience that I experienced. I'm not saying anything negative about the School of Enlightenment. I'm not saying that it was them. So my dad wanted me to throw this out there. The Ramtha is a warrior from the past. but I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that if you're interested in the Ramtha, the School of Enlightenment, it's definitely really interesting. Go online, check out the videos. I personally don't think it's probably the healthiest thing to get involved with, but it's definitely interesting, and it's something that's interesting, and I don't have any problems with it, and but I'm also not endorsing it, and again, I want to say this again, that I'm not saying that they caused my experience. I just have superstitions, and the things that happened after my experience. How can you explain an elder coming to you and saying you were remote viewed? I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. That's just interesting.
Right. I bought remote viewing from Art Bill on Coast to Coast. I've got the tape. I started it, but I didn't put in the time necessary. And they had an exercise where you'd have somebody write something in an envelope that you didn't see what they wrote, and then you would practice knowing what's in the envelope. Is how it started.
Maybe we should actually try that. Like each of us put some time into it. I'd be interested into looking into that.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and it's in my VCRs. I got it. So I bought that back in that would have been like 1997 when Art was before he had left the radio show. Is when I got that from him. But remote viewing is something that our government's been doing, and world governments all around. It's been here for a long time, and even our ancestors could remote view, not just today, but thousands of years ago. They were remote viewing, and it probably were pretty accurate at most things. So it is very interesting, how to remote view. But would you want, and I've had relatives, which we'll talk about, know when someone's going to pass before they pass. Is that a blessing or is that hell? And what do you do if that's you and you see that? So that's something we'll talk about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That's rough. And that same person was able to find people. So, and I know that they've used this in law enforcement. When somebody goes missing, they've used psychics or different people. I believe the Chinook term for that would be speech. Is that right?
I don't know if it's right or not. I apologize for my lack of knowledge of the Chinook jargon.
I was studying it for a while. I definitely wish I knew more, but it's one of those things that you just really have to really work on a language. Like I used to be pretty proficient with sign language. Now, not so much, but that's something I'd like to brush up on. I think we're going to move on. That was definitely our longest segment of paranormal.
Right.
But I think that it's important to bring that up. And if you've had these experiences or you had a similar experience, please comment about it. Please tell us. We would love to hear about it. Also, if you have any questions on any of that, I don't mind, touching base with it again. It was kind of hard for me to talk about because it's, here I am studying to get my doctorate, and I'm going to tell a story that sounds kind of crazy. And it got to be kind of crazy to go for your doctorate, because it's 1% of people have a doctorate. So you're at least crazy if you're there.
It's okay. Yeah, that's not crazy. 1%'s quite a bit.
You're not crazy, says Triple R.
No, there's no craziness about that. In reference, you got a degree, or if you just got, some kind of different view. The education comes in all kinds of forms, and how we learn. And people learn in different ways. Native Americans, when the young people would be too hyperactive to learn like regular school, they would work during the day, and then at night that's when they be able to teach them when they were more calmed down and more at peace. So you get all that energy out. But yeah, that's enough of that stuff. I want to talk about some business.
Sweet.
Okay.
So this business idea that Dad came up with is really awesome. So my grandfather a while ago spent almost, I want to say around 10 grand to have his gutters covered. So you don't get the leaves inside your gutters, so you don't have to clean it. So take it away.
Yeah. So my dad, he had bought this. Well, he's had it for years and years and years. He had a metal building with gutters on it, but they didn't have caps. and stuff. And we've seen that leaf gutter. We're not saying anything about leaf gutter or anything, but this is what you call a leaf guard here. One side, it's made out of plastic. This side has a fabric on the top. This side here actually snaps onto the gutter itself. And this part, the flat part here, goes underneath the shingle. Now, why in the heck do I want to talk about this when you're worried about making money? Well, this item's 3 feet long, and it costs about $2.79. So if I found a house and I had a total lineal foot of 100 feet of that, I would only have a cost of $200 and some dollars, almost under $300.
That's not that much.
No. What I need then would be, I'm going to need some self-tapping screws, and I would suggest 3/8 inch, and I'd buy good screws, ones that, stainless steel or something that's not going to, they got them, you can buy them in a box, and you also need a cordless drill. And a cordless drill, if you're just screwing something like that, one battery charge usually will last the whole job.
Since you were so rodent-ish earlier, you just said if you're screwing something or something.
Well, I've had rats go down my drains in my roof gutters and stuff. Now, if all of a sudden, if I have these costs and I'm going to need an extension ladder, I'm going to need a hacksaw. Seems to work better than a cutting saw, because a cutting saw just goes too sharp when you're cutting it.
Or a Sawzall would be great.
Well, even a Sawzall, it just cuts it. It's plastic. So you want to do something that's real fine, and you want to
Sawzall.
Yeah. You want something that's not going to leave any type of scarring, because you're doing a professional job and you want to be paid for it. So I could have, for a normal house, materials under $300, say $320. I can take those materials and I could do at least one house a day, and I could charge $1,800 to $2,600 to install those gutter caps. Now, wow, that's a lot of difference. Where if I got leaf guard comes in, I'm going to be charged, $9,000 to $11,000. And some of those other companies, even though they're not a major brand and stuff, they're still going to be up there $7,000 to $9,000. So we're a third of the cost by installing these.
Wow, that's a really good deal.
Yeah, so you could make a profit at a third less of what the other contractor's doing it for. A trick when you're installing it is, you got to make sure that you take the flat piece and you shove it underneath the shingles. And then once you snap the gutter will actually, the cap will snap right onto the gutter. You say, "Oh, that's good, I'll just snap it on there." No. You need to put in 4 screws per section, 2 and 2. When you do that, the reason why is that'll keep it from bubbling when the weather gets warm. So those screws hold it tight in that. And remember, the cloth part up. You also may need to have some a can of silicone, in a caulking gun, because if the cloth comes up at any place, you just put a dab on the plastic and reattach it down. You're going to need an extension ladder, to be able to get up there. And then how do you find a place? Well, that needs gutters. Well, you can drive the neighborhoods, look for big trees. Look for people that have, gutter problems that you see, because if you don't repair your gutter, you're going to ruin your roof, because the water goes back underneath the particles. Most people got particle board for the roofing that they have it on there, whether it's metal, tile, or a composition. They still got it's particle board. Even our trusses are made out of particle board. And once water is attached to that, that's when it's going to be destroyed. So you need to have these gutter caps. And you can come in here at a third of the cost. And the other thing, too, is, whether you have your own house and you want to do it, and that's a great big savings. But if you want to make some money for you and your family, this can get you from the place of not being able to go buy a new pair of shoes for my kid when they needed them, to be able to be driving a new pickup and have a house of my own, just by installing these gutter caps. And I suggest you do it legally. You know, I know what the situation is and those kinds of things. You get a license. In every state, the department, you go to the business licensing division, and usually they have a one-stop shop. You can get your revenue card, whatever is the codes. And I would suggest least cost going in and quickest, go as a handyman. And then you install these as a handyman. I believe... and if you're the owner, you won't have to pay for unemployment. You won't have to pay for L&I unless you choose to. So the costs are fairly minimal going in, but your returns are pretty large. And I could see a real large market. Also, you could go to the real estate companies and give them your card because they just sold a house and they just had an inspection and they saw that the gutters were full. And the inspector may require these gutters to be put on, and your cost is so much lower than the other costs, they're going to get you. And you can get them in and out. And it's pretty safe, you know, to be able to do it. And you're able to clean them and that kind of thing. So this gutter cap, you wouldn't realize it, but it's a simple idea, but it'll make you financially free so that you're able to do other things with your family, make other choices, or start your business and just make this part of your business as one of the things that you can give. Because I always said be service-oriented to be able to make quick cash.
I just want to add that these actually look really good too. They're not ghetto-looking in any way. They look like high quality. Functionability is there. If I had my own house to do this on, I would totally hire somebody to do that. And if it was only costing me a couple grand, I mean, that's not really that bad. Or if you're flipping a house and you're trying to turn a profit, that's another way when you're selling the house. It's just like if you're selling anything, this is like putting new handlebars on a motorcycle. It's just one thing you could add to your house. Be like, hey, I got this on my gutters, or I got this and I got that. I think that is a bare minimum in the Pacific Northwest, especially if you have trees, to have something like that. So I could definitely see the need. And it's just amazing to me, some individuals I know personally that are handyman and great with tools, great with their hands, and the amount of money they're making is close to what people are making at McDonald's. So if you have the skills, I really stress the point of going to business for yourself. Right. I think that if you have the skills, you have the work ethic, you can go out there and make a lot of money and it might be scary because you're thinking, hey, I don't have this check coming in. Well, if you do 3 or 4 houses in a month, you just probably made more than you would have made in 3 months with your check. And then you had a month off to hang out with your friends and family. So this is really a good way for people to have less time at work as well.
Right.
I mean, they can go out there and just really do it hard and make a lot of money. But I think it's important that we're able to do a little bit of work and take a lot of time off. Because I know a lot of my life, I feel like I gave it away in the sense of, if I'm working overtime and I'm doing that for months and months and years at a time, I only maybe had one day to recoup. And on that one day off that you have, you probably don't want to do a whole lot. So if you do something like this, you're going to put yourself in a financial situation where you can actually do a lot more with your life.
Right. You can pick these up at Lowe's, Home Depot. You can order them online and they'll ship them to you. I get it from home. It's not the idea what you're paying. If you're going to Home Depot and Lowe's, you're getting quality because you're seeing them. If you think you're going to go online, some of that stuff that's coming from China, they might be cutting some corners. And I'd rather have a superior product that's cost effective. We're not going to complain about the price to start with, because of the service and the return. I would stick with this because it's a winner in reference to that. Another clients or the elderly because they can't climb up the ladder to clean their gutters anymore. So you could also go to like the areas on aging, those kinds of things. They would be for that. Or you just drive down the street and you look for homeowners directly. Another key to your success would be, especially if you have the license, is they have these small finance companies that are around. You could go to them and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is my business license, and I'm going to be selling these packages for this many dollars per foot per house. Are you able to finance that for them, given it what credit score? You get that known right up front, and then you can find a direct lender that you can actually get the payments paid from. So if they don't have money, you can still have a way of getting money for them. And they're taking people, if you got a credit score of 560, you're going to get financed, and that's pretty low.
Another quick idea is, even though I really do not like HOAs, is to go into the homeowner associations and drop off some cards. One thing that we used to do a lot, I remember like when I was promoting Rockfest, is we'd find anywhere that had a punch board, or anywhere that would let me put a business card. And you'd be surprised the people that will let you put a business card just with a simple conversation. Like when I had my bar and grill, if you were to come in and be like, I'm a local contractor, this is what I do, can I leave a stack of cards here? Of course you can. You're my customer and I'd like to see you succeed. Right. People want to see people succeed, but you have to ask to get that extra help. And just by asking, a lot of time you're going to get a lot more. I feel like this is a really good idea. I would like to move on, and we're going to have every episode, we're going to have a business adventure that could really help you. Again, this is for entertainment purposes, but sometimes entertainment could make you money.
Right.
Yeah, really entertaining, right? Triple R over here.
Yeah. I can smell money when I get close to it sometimes.
What does it smell like?
It smells, my favorite color, it's green.
That smells like poop.
Yeah. Well, just imagine. I won't comment on what kind of green, but green's always been my favorite color.
Nice. Mine's red.
Oh, okay.
Just in case you're wondering what color I want my next Corvette.
Oh.
So I want to give a little update on what's going on in my life. My band Gebular did our first practice last week and weekend, and we just got booked for a performance at the Plaid Pig. I'll throw a link in the description to get tickets for that show. It's going to be on March 5th. Plaid Pig with Deadbeat Blackout. Great band. This is going to be a really cool show. We haven't played in 4 years, and I don't think Deadbeat Blackout's played in over a year.
Wow.
So this is probably going to sell out. So you want to get your tickets to this show. Also, I've been recording in the home studio and talking to different producers about Adabomb and getting a record out for that. That's an original band that I'm the singer-songwriter for, and now we're writing as a band, which is really turning out really cool. I also play the 6-string guitar in that band, which is pretty fun. In Gebular, I play the bass. That's where I got my start. And then on the channel, I've been uploading a video every day. That's way more than I planned on doing. I planned on doing it Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Sundays. And I just keep making so much content. I've been sharing it every day. And I plan on to continue doing that. I have been having fun too, using my phone for my shorts. I'm a motorcycle collector, so I've been taking a lot of videos of different bikes I own. I still have bikes I haven't done that with. And then I would like to start doing reviews of certain bikes. I'm going to be doing that. I'm also looking into getting a new computer eventually so I can do ride videos. The computer I currently use is awesome. It just has a hard time handling much more than an hour. And, yeah, so lots of stuff is going on here. And so this is episode 4, and it's been great having you. And if there's anything else that you'd like to talk about, Dad, I think that you can have the stage and then we'll close out.
I remember a guy who put flies in the ice cube trays, and then I froze them. And then Linda always likes her drink with ice. So I brought her the tray, and boy, I thought it was funny, but she didn't.
You really did that?
Yeah, I did. But, it's okay. I got some things I'll tell you I did, but I won't tell you on camera because it could go the other direction. Oh, I won't say no more.
Wow. So you actually took some flies. I'm surprised. You know, that actually gave me a memory. So when I was probably like 5 years old, maybe 6. They had my dad owned a house on West Anderson Street, and we had a tarantula, and the tarantula died, and you know, maybe it got ate by a rodent. I don't know, but
I froze it.
He froze the tarantula, and it was in the freezer. And I remember it was this big thing where he would take it out of the freezer. I don't know how I remember this because I was like 6 years old, and he would show everybody this tarantula he had in a.
It was big. It was a big tarantula.
Have you always been into collecting rodents and spiders and stuff and snakes?
I got that mountain lion in my living room. Up there, a cougar. That cougar's up there.
Yeah,
You should see the UPS guy with that jump.
yeah, he's got a cougar that's pretty cool that's on his wall. I actually helped him install that many years ago, and it was not easy. We used some anchors into the.
That was a hard one to come by. I won't tell you. I'd tell you the story, but I think it'd just be too much detail right now.
Too much detail.
Right.
Yeah, we're closing in on the end of this episode already, and this has probably been one of my favorite ones because the story's been so crazy. Our audio's been a little crazy. I know I was peeking out there at the beginning, but it's all good. You know, we're human, and we're getting better as we go. And I appreciate everybody sharing the video and the comments. Keep the comments coming, and if you can, check out the other content on the channel. I know it's a little bit out there, and motorcycles, music, and it's just a little bit of everything, but that's being true to myself. So I could have just a motorcycle channel and just a podcast channel, but then it wouldn't be like a calico cat. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like a calico cat, or what did I say the other day? I go, I'm a calico brindle dogger. I just, you know, I like my red, white, and blue together, and I like my stars and stripes. I like it all.
I like being able to give you guys a chance to see a brighter day, and with some of these ideas for different types of careers or things that you could do to make money that we've stated will make a big difference in your life. And different people are at different steps in their lives, so we're going to have a wide variety of opportunities that matches more people, just not one class of it, one kind.
That's right, and that's what it's all about. And I know in this world that we're in, full of negativity, we really want to bring a little bit of positive light. Again, thanks, Dad, for coming out and in our new studio here in Montesano, Washington. And really appreciate having you and sharing that story. My name is Clinton.
And I'm Ron.
And this is the Ron and Son podcast.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Sasquatch is real. Did you hear that?
It's there. I know it.
I think I heard it again.
Till next time, Sasquatch will be here.
Peace out. Thanks for watching.
We're live from the halls of Montesano, where the grizzly bears which roamed until the coyotes ate them. Or was it the wolf ate the coyote that ate the raccoon that killed the possum?